Everybody, welcome to the Bonnie Show. This is Real Talk.
No, we both would have the same opinion.
Oh, I'll have to find out what that's all about there. With me, I have Angelina, and in the background, you can hear my grandson, Devlin.
He just walked out too. He said maybe we should argue gentle parenting.
Oh, well, there's.
We'd both be on the same side for that.
Yeah, very true. How's everybody today? I know here in Northeast Ohio, it's kind of snowy. It's cold. We didn't get the snow that we were expecting. However, before we start talking about insurance, it's for Amazon. He delivered somebody's package, and it looks like it's a wheelchair ramp that he's on. It needed a shovel. That young man grabbed the shovel and shoveled them right on out. Another lady posted, thank you, mystery snowblower. The guys out there snow blowing or plowing or whatever it is, getting them all cleared out, and they don't even know who he is. So there is some good in this world. So,
I shoveled my elderly neighbor's driveway and sidewalk. I did mine, and then I went over and did theirs. It took me about an hour. Come back inside, and I think I had to go to work or something. So I went in, showered, got dressed. By the time I came out, she was outside and seen it. She was talking to our other neighbor, thanking him so much for shoveling her driveway, and he's going, "Oh, no problem."
Oh, all your hard work just went right out the window. It's a good thing you don't do it for acknowledgement.
I know. I didn't say anything. I let her think too.
That is something. So, I had a young man join us last week. He didn't stay on long. I guess he just wasn't real impressed with the topic. He asked if there's anything else that we talk about, and I was telling him it's real talk. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. Will we always agree? No. That's kind of the point of the show. However, I did ask him, what kind of topics do you want to hear? It's been a week and I still haven't had a reply. So just putting that out there. If there's things you want to hear, you have to let us know. Otherwise, we're just going to keep Googling or talking about things that have hit us in one way or another.
Who was that?
I'm not going to throw his name out there.
It was Devlin.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But that's funny because one time she didn't think the boys were listening, and we were talking about video games and all that. The kids not doing their schoolwork. When all of a sudden we started getting replies and stuff, and she knew right away, yep, that's Dev.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the kids do listen. So, okay.
I thought you froze.
Well, no, I just, if I have to get and leave in the middle of the show, I'm going to leave everything up and Angelina can run it. Things are kind of sketchy right now, so if not, if she doesn't want to, then, we'll just end the show.
I'm very angry.
She'll do just about anything I ask her to do, honestly. So let's get to talking here about insurance and pharmaceuticals in our medical care. I'm real curious as to how I could stand in line behind an elderly lady who I just seriously watched get 2 prescriptions and be told it was like over $300. This poor lady who could barely walk was standing there apologizing because she had to debate which medication she was going to buy that day. If I had the money, she would have walked out with everything.
Right.
But why are we in this situation? I can OD 3 times in one day and get Narcan given to me for free, but this lady can't get her prescriptions. This lady can't afford to take care of her diabetes because it's over $700 something a month just for the medication itself.
Yeah, a family member is supposed to be on very serious heart medication because she had a horrible heart attack. She's running at she only has 60%, or maybe she has 40 and she lost 60. Honestly, I can't remember. I just know she has a ton of heart damage.
You were right. She has 40, lost 60.
Her heart medicine, she hasn't been able to get it the last time because the insurance keeps going every year, you have to pick a new one, and you don't know what they're actually going to cover or not cover. She tries to call her doctor's office. She calls around before she picks to see who takes what. They flat out told her, well, right now we do, but they can change their mind at any time. Well, they stopped covering her heart medicine, so now they want $500
And
for
the
her
question is
heart
why?
medicine.
Why?
She hasn't been taking it now.
Which means she's going to wind up back in the hospital with larger medical bills
She's going
coming
to
her
wind up
way.
dead.
Well, most definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather think of her being in the hospital recovering, but
Yeah.
you're absolutely right there. And there's no call for it.
And it has nothing to do with the doctors or the hospital, because they don't get to pick or say how much stuff costs. It's pharmaceutical companies. In other countries, they're not allowed to do that. In other countries, they cannot upcharge you like that. They cannot just pick a number and put it on there.
Well, I know we have been going through basically the same insurance company for 20-something years, if not longer. So at one time, we had 5 people on our insurance. Then we went down to 4, then 3, then 2. Our insurance payments have never changed.
Isn't that crazy?
Even you have 2 plans, single, family. There is no in between. There is no nothing. So what we paid for 5 people on our plan, we're now paying for 2.
Which was great at 5.
Right.
Not great you're down 2.
When we had 5, we didn't complain. I mean, insurance is insurance. So now we have to ask why. Now, our prescription plans keep changing. There's medication that I have to take all the time. One year I could go in, walk out spending almost $200 out of pocket. Another, the next year I go in and it's like, how is this $1.45? This doesn't make sense.
Right.
So, and right now, as far as prescriptions on my end of the insurance, I'm not going to complain about, because this year has been great. One medication that usually costs me $100 and something is free. Now next year they're going to want 100 and something.
Yeah, the hard part is a lot of patients, when I worked at the doctor's office, would ask the doctor, how much is this going to cost me? If you write me this, how much is it going to be?
I don't know.
And he'd be like, I don't know, because honestly, it used to be like $2 for a whole bottle. And then I just had a patient come in and tell me that it was $160. He's like, how is it $2 and then $160? He's like, so I have no idea. All I can tell you is if you go there and it's expensive, call me back and I'll try another one. And we'll just have to keep going through and seeing which is the cheaper, because it's usually an antibiotic.
Yeah.
So he's like, we'll just have to go through and figure out which one is cheaper. But not all medicines are like that. Not like antibiotics. We have a ton of them. Granted, some of them work for some things and don't for other things.
Right.
So the best one that may not be an option, but not all medicines are like that. A lot of them are, there's 1 or 2, and if you can't do those, sucks to suck. But a lot of times they're owned by the same company too. So,
That's what I don't understand, because I mean, you go to Walmart, CVS, or Giant Eagle, and they're all different prices for the exact same thing.
mm-hmm.
Now, I think it's Giant Eagle and Walmart. I think they do have like a $4 program, which is nice, but again, it doesn't cover everything. So,
Right.
Where do we stand right now with all of this? At one point, it was you have to have insurance or you pay a fine at the end of the year. Well, if I could afford the insurance or the fine, I would have the insurance. I mean, let's be realistic. There's 2 types of insurance. There's free and there's what you pay for. Now, the free, that is coming out of the government. So and what happens with that insurance, and this is why you guys will notice doctors are changing immensely. One day you have a doctor, the next day you do not. Honestly, with the way the government works, it is they reach out to these doctors because they only pay a third of the bill. So the doctors have to agree to that. And that's how you get your doctors that take the Medicaid, medical, that kind of stuff. Well, now these doctors are fighting to get their lousy third. So now they're all just saying, I can no longer take this insurance. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And it's not right. I mean, like I said, I pay good money for my, well, I don't, my husband does, but it's good money plus your deductible and all that. And I still have doctors say, I'm sorry, I can't take that insurance. I went and had a
Yeah,
root
well,
canal.
sometimes doctors have to meet certain things to be able to do that insurance company. But it's actually usually the insurance companies that deny the doctors rather than the doctors denying the insurance, because the insurance company wants them to jump through certain hoops. And if the doctors don't do that, then they'll just drop them, which insurance companies who, like you or I, could go apply and work for an insurance company, and we could deny people. We could say, no, we don't think you need that.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think I could do that.
insane.
Well, years
And
ago, I
doctors
went to
have-
go. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The doctors have to fight to get to justify prescriptions that they prescribe, and it's insane.
All right, I understand. Years ago, I went in for the lovely so-called hysterectomy, and my doctor said, "I'm sorry, we can't do this." The insurance company said, "Well, we have to do this, and if this doesn't work, then they will okay this."
Yeah.
So in the meantime, because I have to try something, they do the one procedure. I pay for that, because you always have your out-of-pocket expense or whatever. And if that didn't work, then I'd have to go back, do the other procedure, and pay out even more money.
Yep.
The whole thing makes no sense.
Well, what's hysterical to me is they have this line of treatment that they feel is appropriate. So instead of getting something taken care of in 2 or 3 visits, you're actually doing 8 to 10 to know why. Because I'll tell you what, I avoid the doctors like a plague because I don't have 6 months to treat something that could be treated in visits. But because they want you to walk through hoops, I think they're hoping you give up, and they're hoping you don't do what you're supposed to do, because then they don't have to take care of you anymore.
Well, they need to understand another generation's coming right behind us. Honestly, this is going to be a non-stop cycle. So why not help take care of us so we can help the younger generation and so on and so forth? I have a sciatic nerve. I have 3 different nerves in my back that are bad. The doctor knows what he wants to do. He wants me to have an MRI so he can make sure this is the avenue he wants to take. No, I have to go through 6 weeks of physical therapy 3 times a week at $400 to $500 a pop.
And physical therapy is their go-to thing. Try physical therapy. Try this. Like you said, who has the time? So even if you have the money, who has the time to go to physical therapy multiple times a week for months when it's not going to work? If stretching and exercise was going to work, like, it would have worked.
Right. And
It's just not
people are like,
a
when
cure.
you get up, go ahead and do these stretches, or before you lift something. Okay, well, if I'm at work and I got a truck there and I got to load it, they're not going to stand there and wait for me to do these stretches.
Right.
So
The only
go ahead.
So they do, like, Nelson has horrible back, and physical therapy gave him stretches to do, but he's in the same situation, the help he needs, because they want him to cancel out the other options first. Even though his back is so bad, they said no surgeon in the right mind. So they're like, basically you just got to kind of live with the pain, or, that's it. But they wanted him to go to physical therapy for X amount of time, have injections that were actually going to make it worse. The doctor already knew that they would make it worse. And then they could do decompressing certain things so that way they could approach the rest surgically. But the stretches, physical therapy, just makes it so we can get up in the morning. So I'm not saying physical therapy is trash or doesn't work. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying physical therapy is not a cure. It's not going to fit. It will. I do believe it helps. I 100% believe physical and occupational therapy is amazing and that it does help people, but it's not a cure for damage.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to work. And a doctor is going to be able to look at your MRIs and be able to look at your stuff and know. But what kills me is they want you to have an x-ray. An x-ray is not going to show anything but your bones. And that's not usually where the damage is. So it doesn't make sense to me that they're not allowed to just go straight to what they know they need to look at and do that and then assess from there. And maybe it is something that just needs light physical therapy, or maybe it is something that needs surgery. But they need that imaging to be able to tell, and then they could assess you in the right way. And instead, you have some random person who decided to work for the insurance company that gets to say, no, that doctor's wrong. I want
and all this. So, since you're talking about Nelson, we'll continue on with Nelson. What would happen if he actually went and got the MRI or whatever it is, that it is they're trying to do for him, and they found a simple fix?
right.
And
They still
I know his back is bad. I'm pretty sure there's no simple fix to it, even though I'm not a doctor. But how much money would they save if that were the case?
right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense because they're wasting a lot of, because the doctors already know they went to school for a crap ton of time for this reason, so they could know how to help you.
And they could.
And then
go to school
they're
for
having
that.
to, yeah, could you imagine going to school for so long just to have a random person get to tell you what I want you to do? Why even go to medical school? I'll just let the insurance companies tell me everything that they want me to do, and I'll just do that, and we'll be done.
Right. And then, of course, here we are screaming, yelling at the doctors. We know it's not the doctor, but we're so frustrated. They're taking the blunt of it all. And again,
And they're frustrated too.
right, because they, like you said, they know what they need to do. They're out here. They got all this. And just like us, they sit there and wait.
And if anybody knows a doctor, they are bullheaded and they are cocky. So they especially do not want to be doing what an rando insurance person is telling them to do. They didn't go to school and train that hard to learn all that, to have some rando telling them what to do.
Right.
So it's definitely your doctor's choice to be following the insurance, but they want paid for what they do. And if they want paid, they got to jump through the hoops.
Right. Those
Because the
insurance claims are not easy.
Flat out not pay them. Right.
Yeah, you had
Insurance companies flat out not pay them, and that is BS.
yes, because they've done the work. They've agreed to go through your insurance company, for crying out loud, and
And then the insurance company can say, nope, you didn't do it the way we wanted you to, so we won't be paying for that. On the flip side of that, the hospitals are allowed to bill things in certain ways to get paid more too when they didn't do it. Like my stepdad went in for an appointment to have his back looked at. The doctor touched around his back to see. They charged him for a surgery. When my mom called and argued and said he did not have a surgery, they said, well, the doctor pressed on his back and moved things around. He's counting that as a surgery. So she tried to fight it, and she lost. Doctor said it was a surgery. It was a surgery.
wow, that's pretty low.
So,
Yep. I don't know. I have to ask, is there anything that we can do outside of the laws and rules, whatever you want to call them, to put a stop to all of this? Because we're getting raked over the coals. You pay all that money for the insurance. The people you work for pays another amount for it. You have to pay that high deductible. And then
that's why everybody was fighting for the socialized insurance.
for the
Or
last-
the socialized health care, I mean.
Yes. There were some people that really had, I don't want to say issues, it was like concerns. A lot of people say if you go with the socialized, you don't get the proper medical care. I do know somebody that has socialized insurance, I guess. And
Yeah, your sister lives in the UK.
they were waiting for simple gallbladder surgery, but they were put on that waiting list. And more or less, if you die before you hit that table, then so be it. But then others say that's not how it really works. But of course, we never had it, so what do we know? I mean,
I feel like there's definitely got to be an in-between. I don't think we need to go socialized, but I do think we need to have more regulations on the insurance companies and on the drug companies.
Yes.
We act like there's nothing else you can do, that it's either everybody runs wild or everybody is, we already run our country in that way. It's not everybody's wild and free completely, or everybody's under like, you know, communism. Like there's in betweens, right?
Right.
There's in between. So we're technically free, but we still have rules, laws, regulations to follow. No reason that our healthcare can't be more put under more rules, regulations, and things, rather than our doctors being put under. Now, granted, like when we had the opioid crisis and we were like, okay, you know, at that time, we're like, we're going to control how they can prescribe certain
Correct.
medications. Okay, so why can't we say, okay, drug companies, look, it costs you this much to make it. Of course you need to make money. So of course you can upcharge it. But here's the line, especially with things like, you know, diabetes medication, heart medicine, like these aren't things people are taking for fun.
Right.
These aren't things you can go get supplements for and try, or diet and exercise and be better. Like these are things that people need and they're going without. So many people are going without the stuff they need or without taking it regularly. And then as a doctor, you know, you feel for your patient because you're like, you know, they need this medicine, but you also know they can't afford it. And that's holding your hands because what are you, now how am I going to help you? I went to school to help you. I want to save your life,
Right.
but I can't do it because a medical company gets to charge $5,000 for a medicine to save your life. It's insane to me that we are not regulating or doing anything and that we feel like it's socialism or nothing.
And I'm right there with you on that. This is definitely a subject that there's really no debate unless.
Well, unless you work for an insurance company or a drug company.
Yeah, I guess you could really come up with a big plan. But, and you know, and I'm not saying that somebody that needs Narcan shouldn't be treated. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying, why do they get it for free for something that they chose to do when this person over here can't get any kind of help or something that they have no control over?
Well, that's the generic bait, right? Is why do they get Narcan and I can't get insulin? But the two things aren't made by the same companies and have nothing to do with each other. So whoever made Narcan decided, you know, I want to do something to help these people. And so they did. The people who made insulin are like, they need me, so they're going to pay what they got to pay. And that's just how it is. So, I mean, the two are completely separate things, but that just makes you wonder, isn't it ironic that somebody who's helping addicts cares more than somebody who's helping kids get diabetes, babies
Right.
get diabetes, well, not babies, but you know what I mean. Young
yeah,
kids
there are
have
babies
diabetes.
with diabetes. I've actually watched, you know, the videos of them trying to put that thing on them just to make it easier, and
There's,
that's hard.
yeah. So it's like it's a moral compass thing when it comes to the drug companies, and it just sucks because it shouldn't be that way. But there's a bigger war on getting drugs under control as far as like illegal drugs than there is on getting prescription drugs under
Right.
control.
Right.
So I don't know how to make people care more, probably because, you know, a lot of people, you see the addicts in the street suffering, you're driving by them, they're around, they're outside hanging out. People aren't just hanging out dropping for blood sugar in the streets,
Right.
you know. But most people know, you would think they would know somebody who really needed the help with their medicine and their medications, and we're having to find walkarounds to get it. I mean, there's people driving to Canada for it. I know a woman who takes fish antibiotics because when she needs medicine, because it's cheaper to buy fish antibiotics than it is antibiotics for people, even though they're the same exact thing.
Yeah, I've heard that, like for horses and stuff too. You know, people would rather take. I guess that's where the term horse pill came in. I don't know, because people would rather do that because they need it and they can't afford it.
And it's sad because, I mean, you should not be taking animal medicine for people because they are, some are the exact same though, because they come from the same you would go to CVS to get some things for your dog that are the exact same as human, but not everything. And as a regular person, you're not going to know
The
which ones are
difference.
different and which ones
Right.
are the same. We can go to the vet and be like, hey, can I take that? If my dog doesn't use up all that antibiotic, can I save it?
Uh,
They're not going to be like, yeah, go ahead. That's a good idea.
and part of our was it opioid part? I hate when I can't pronounce the word right. Problem
Yeah.
is that people get it off the streets cheaper than seeing a doctor. So that's where they go. Hey, let me buy some of these.
Well, it's not that it's cheaper, it's that the doctors can only prescribe so much. So now they got no choice but to go buy it in the streets. And then when they can't afford that, they just switch over to heroin because heroin's much cheaper. So, and it's easier to find. So it's just cheaper and easier to switch over once you're addicted to pills to heroin.
Right.
So that's what they do.
And then we have what we call a bunch of junkies that everybody wants to look down on and judge, and we don't even know what got them there.
Yeah, sometimes it is hard not to, because like you said earlier, they chose that, right?
Yes.
And sometimes people feel like they didn't choose it. And you know what? In some cases, they may not have. Some cases, it did start out. They went to the hospital for a legitimate reason. They were in pain. They started taking an opioid and got addicted. And then and then they can't just stop taking it just because their prescription ran out, because now they're addicted. So they're out there searching for that next one. So that is a bad way to do it, because I used to always wonder, what was it that made someone, like, okay, anybody who's looked at a junkie can say they're not living a happy, successful life. I've never seen a happy junkie.
Right.
I've never seen a successful, happy junkie. And so it's like, how could you look at all that and think that you're going to be different when there's not a single one out there that is? But it's because it doesn't usually start at the needle. It doesn't start right there. They're already gone by the time they get to that part. Whether it's alcohol or it's pills or whatever it is that for whatever reason stops working or isn't good enough, or heck, I'm already doing this, I might as well do this because so and so has it, so I'm going to try it. And then it's just too far gone. But I will say I have a lot of friends who were addicts, and thank God they got help and they no longer are. And I've never met an addict that regretted getting clean. So if you are an addict of anything, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, look around. I'm sure you know some people who went to recovery. I don't know a single one who is said they regret getting clean. I don't know a single one that's not just loving life now and just so much happier now. Is every day like, oh my gosh, this is the best day ever. One of my friends, she's always posting, she has a bad day, she'll be like, oh my gosh, today sucked, but I still thank God that I'm good and I can have a crappy day in my warm, safe home,
And that's what you have
So
to
even
remind
that-
yourself of. Life is not peaches and cream. You are definitely going to have your bumps in the road, but it's how you go over those bumps that get you there.
Yeah, and some people are doing it to numb feelings, but the problem with that is you're just pushing them to the next day and the next day and the next. Eventually, you're going to have to deal with them.
Yes.
You're going to have to deal with those bad thoughts and those bad feelings, and you don't have to do it by yourself.
No.
There's
there is
so
help out
much
there.
help. Yes, there are so many programs and there's so much help now that, just go for it. Just keep trying until you do it. It might not work the first time.
It may not even
But
work the
just-
second or third. I've seen that so many times. It takes time. It takes determination. And I can promise you, once you get that out of your system, you will have days of struggles. I'm not going to lie. But you will feel so much better. They have programs, and I don't think we have anything like this here. People that did get clean, but they were still in the streets because they had nowhere to go. And they have programs where they help them get their apartments, they help them get situated. And to see from where they were to where they are now, it's an amazing thing to watch.
We have a thing called the think it's the Edna House in Cleveland. I think it's in Cleveland, but there's a thing called the Edna House that helps. I think it might just help women, but I know there's one for men too. I just don't know what it's called. So we do have places where people can go, and I believe they help you when you get out
Yes.
too. But you would be surprised how many people are willing to forgive you once you're clean for the crap you did when you weren't. Because no matter how far gone you think you are, people want to see that comeback. They might be upset and hurt because maybe you've tried and then you fail, and then you try and then you fail. And they're tired of getting their hopes up and crushed because they don't want to see you dead.
Right.
But it's not anything against you, and it does not mean they are not rooting for you every time you go in there. Every time you go in there, they're hoping they want the best for you. So just hold on to that. Just know that even though they might be hurting and maybe they can't go through it with you again, they think they can't go through it with you again. But as family members and friends too, you need to remember that it's really hard on your addict friend or family member too. And they really need your support. As bad as it's hurting you to fail, it's hurting them to fail too. And you got to let people hit rock bottom sometimes too.
Yes.
We have a lot of enablers.
Yeah, and you know when you take them to the rehab and you think, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is going to help, it's not going to help. They have to
It might.
want. Well, yeah. Chances.
Oh, you mean against their will?
Right.
I
Yeah,
got you.
If they say, hey, I want help, that's a good sign. But that doesn't mean they're going to make it that first time. Those drugs really do have control, especially if it's masking something that you know medically you can't get taken care of because of the cost and everything, you know, or because like
But
you
some
said, pain medication is now regulated. Is that the right word I want?
Yeah.
You have to go. You have to do pill counts. You have to do urine tests. I mean, it's just gotten so out of hand that there's so many hoops you have to go through to get this meds, and now you're also limited. You're only allowed so many per month.
And some people do make it their first time. So we keep talking about people doing repeats thing, but there are people who go in there one time, they're dead serious, they're focused. This is not the life I want, and they absolutely do make it the first time. Don't want to discredit those because I know one or
I didn't
two.
mean, definitely didn't mean for it to sound like that. I'm just saying, if it doesn't work the first time, so be it. Take another. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, and I know that's not what I'm saying, but I just wanted to reiterate that that's not what we're saying.
But then again, I have a friend that likes to drink. So he went. There's a medication you could take. That medication's worse than if you drink a beer.
Really?
Yeah, his first day out, he couldn't stand. He couldn't. I mean, it was like he was dropped down drunk.
I didn't know there was a medicine for alcoholism.
Yeah, what it does is even the smell can make you vomit. If you take a drink, you're definitely vomiting. But I was kind of involved in his journey this time, and I've been out drinking all day, and it's horrible. I get behind the aspect of it helping, but if you have to spend 2 weeks feeling like you just walked out of a bar or stumbled out of a bar, I don't understand where that's helping you.
Well, they got a detox. That's all they're doing is detoxing. It might not be the pill that's making them sick. It's the detoxing that's making them sick, because people forget that alcoholics have to detox the same way a heroin addict will. If
True.
you are truly an alcoholic, your body is going to go through withdrawal and have horrible symptoms, the same as you would with anything else, because it is a drug, and people forget because it's legal that it is a drug, and that you will be going through a horrible withdrawal, the same as everyone else. Just because your drug is legal doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard to get
Right.
through it.
Right. And do know too,
I hope
when you're referring to the alcohol part, don't think if you're not out there every day hitting it hard that you're not an alcoholic. When you
You're just a functioning alcoholic.
Yes. When you choose that beer, the mixed drink, whatever it is, over your loved one's needs or whatever, there's your sign right there. I mean, personally, I'd like to go have a drink or two myself, but if I'm sitting there telling my loved one, well, you're just gonna have to wait because I'm gonna go have this drink, guess what? I got a problem.
Well, if you're drinking, here's a big sign too. If you need a drink to feel like you relax or well, I'm feeling sad, I need a drink. I'm mad, I need a drink. If you are using it to push down feelings, then you're drinking, you're going to stay depressed.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of people self-medicate, and because of our healthcare system, it's almost like, well, I kind of get it, why it's easier to just go to the store and buy this or go out in the streets and buy that rather than go to therapy and get the help you need, and then you got to trial and error medicines. But one's going to work and one isn't. So that's the difference. Yeah, it's easier to go out and buy beer or buy whatever and take it and do it, but you're not fixing the problem. If your house burned down, would you just be like, well, I'm just going to go buy a can of paint and I'll just paint the burnt hat parts? And it's like, that's not going to fix it. You're going to hide the burnt parts, but they're still there. They're still there, and your house is still not structurally sound. So it's going to take longer to rebuild your house than to paint over it. But the end result is going to be so different.
And it is, because you have to take those steps and make it sound and complete and to keep yourself happy. And I'm glad you touched on that, because, I mean, we went from, the insurance aspect of it to, this isn't for everybody. Some people just drink because they like to drink, or, they just don't care. But some of these people are out here drinking to suppress whatever it is they're feeling.
I would say 90% of your bar flies, or whatever you want to call it, the people who spend all their day and time, definitely have an underlying depression or anxiety, that they're here. I know there's other lonely, sad people here. So here's my community. But that's not the kind of community you want, because those other people who are sitting there at the bar all day, they're not going to be able to fulfill you and help you the way you need, because they're also not fully fulfilled and they're struggling too. Two sinking ships aren't going to save each other.
Right.
I'm not saying like don't be friends with people or anything. I'm just saying that's not your way out.
No, it's not. And it's fine. If your friends want to go out and drink or whatever, that doesn't mean you have to. Or if you do want to go out with your friends, a lot of people do, you don't have to drink because they are. I mean, they sell tea, they sell soda. You can have a good time without the drinking.
I'm a blast and I don't drink. I'm so fun.
She's delusional, but there's medication for that too. So, but I mean, this really is where we're at today. Everybody's trying to self-medicate because they can't afford what's out there.
Or they don't have time for or they do. But here's the thing is sometimes, of course, if you have anxiety, you're looking at all those steps and you're saying, I don't have time. I am guilty.
Yes.
I'm already pre-thinking all these steps ahead. And like, I don't want to do this because if I go and I tell them that I'm having this issue, they're going to tell me I got to do X, Y, and Z first. And then I'm going to have to try this medication, and then that's not going to make me. So I've already blown it into this huge thing when really you just need to dial it back, take it one step at a time. I'm not a doctor. I have no idea what they're going to say or do. You just need to go take that first step, be in that moment, deal with that moment, and then you go on to the second step and deal with that second moment. But
my thing always was, I don't want to be on medication for this for the rest of my life. I want to learn how to deal with it. Not all doctors medicate anymore either.
Yes, that's very true. And we're coming back around to more natural things too, where we strayed pretty far from natural because we were just making all these advancements in medicine, and doctors were just, focused on that because it's like, oh my gosh, we can do this and this and this with a pill now. And everybody got so focused on just that quick medicine that I think we forgot about some of the simpler things that could be fixed with supplements, vitamins, even exercise, like little eating right and certain things. We just got so far from it. I do feel like we're slowly coming back. If you see, a lot of people are coming back around into wanting the more natural foods, wanting more natural, because there was a direct correlation between. So the United States is allowed to pretty much put whatever they want in their food. The FDA, you can just give them money and you're FDA approved. People think it's a real life, regulatory thing where they're like, they're not going to let them do X, Y, and Z. But it's like, that's not true. Whoever pays the most gets the approval a lot of times. So people are starting to be more awake to that and see like, okay, I bought these chips. There's 18 things, potato chips. There should really only be potatoes, vegetable oil, and the seasonings. Like,
Why did
and
you
maybe
have to pick my chips? I mean, that's my chips and Twinkies. That's my thing. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we won't even get into your Twinkies. I can't imagine what's in those. They survived the apocalypse.
Good point. I can remember they tried to take the Twinkies off the shelf. I was devastated, and I didn't really eat them then. It was just one of those things where every once in a while you had that taste for. Now they're kind of my boring food, so to say. I'm bored. I feel like I need something to eat. I'm gonna just go grab a Twinkie.
I don't think I've ever eaten a Twinkie. I don't think I've ever had a Twinkie. I've had a ho-ho.
Let's take a poll. Is she lying, or is she telling the truth? Who's never had a Twinkie?
I'm not a huge, I shouldn't say I'm not a huge junk food eater because I do like my junk food. But if there's a chocolate option, I would rather have nothing than, than something that's not chocolate. If I'm choosing calories to put into my body, it's like, it's going to be chocolate, caramel, or nothing.
That would be my mom.
chocolate.
If you held the two things up, she's gonna look at you, and she's probably gonna take that chocolate bar and hit you with it before she eats it because you know better. That was her. I think chocolate and Pepsi. I don't know.
I've tried the what are they called? The snow things or something? They're like snowballs. Nelson bought those. And he ate it, and I was like, well, what is this? It's interesting, the marshmallowy, right? That's the marshmallowy thing?
Yep.
But it's like, now dip it in chocolate, and I'd be game.
Oh,
ooh, maybe that's a good idea.
Twinkies.
Is that a thing? Or somebody suggesting it?
It said there was chocolate-filled Twinkies, and I believe they're right. I think I just saw some in the store, honestly.
I know that there's deep fried Twinkies sometimes at the fairs, but unless you're dipping it in chocolate.
And I don't understand that either. I mean, why deep fry it when you can just pull it out of the package and chew on it, I mean, why make more work
People
for
deep
yourself?
fry everything.
I know, and that's not good for us either. I mean, so right there, I mean, we're giving the medical companies, oh, hey, look at this one. They're so stupid. They're eating all this. Well, let's open our doors pretty soon here because we're going to make some money.
Well, so here's the thing. In Virginia, there is a lot more culture here. And most of our friends are Black. And Maddox asked me, why don't you cook with seasoning? I'm like, do cook with seasoning there, buddy. And he's like, we don't have any slap your mama. We don't have any
your mama
seasoning. We don't have any, what's it called? Like chicka boom boom or something. I don't know. But so he went to Walmart with me and he's grabbing all these seasonings. And I asked my friend, how do I make good fried chicken? And she told me, and we did chicken tender. We tried the whole chicken, but I have a hard time. It took me forever to get it, the whole chicken, not like chicken breast to cook all the way through. I had a hard time. So we decided to try chicken tenders. And oh my God, they were so good. And then Caden's like, Mom, why don't we just fry everything?
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm already overweight. My cholesterol's already like creeping up. Like,
well, wait till they come home and say, Mom, I want some greens. I want some chitlins. And talk to the right person if you do make the chitlins, because if you don't make them right, they smell.
Oh, my friend Eliza's always threatening to steal the kid. I'm cooking this, and this, and I'm coming to steal your kids. And Devlin's always waiting. He's like, come get me. As a matter of fact, his friend invited him for, I forget what holiday it was. And it's, so Eliza's actually Caden, my youngest son's best friend's mom. But my oldest son is the one that's like, well, what is Eliza for this holiday? Because she had an event one time and invited us, but it was just too late and we were just sitting down to eat and blah blah blah. And he's so devastated that he missed out on her food that he's just like, nope. So now a friend invited him and he's like, hold on, I have to see what Eliza's doing first. I was like, it's out of the state, you're good to go. So then he went to his friends for whatever the cook. I think it was actually like Christmas dinner or something, but
So
yeah.
somebody told me you use the air fryer instead of the oil. It makes it a little bit healthier for you.
Maddox is my air fryer kid. Maddox can cook just about anything, but that's how we always do our French fries. I complain about my weight, but we have French fries for a lot of meals just because you can throw them in the air fryer while you're using your stove and oven, and it feels
not only
slightly
that,
better.
You are your typical busy mom.
Mm.
I mean, if during football season you had two doing the football, now it's basketball season, you got two doing, and they're all going different directions. It's not like they go to the same place, one trip and you're done.
Yeah, today I got to drive 45 minutes, drop off Caden, drive 45 minutes, drop off Maddox, drive the 45 minutes back so I can watch Caden's game, and then drive the 45 minutes back so I can watch Maddox's game.
I sure
And
hope
then we
you
can go.
charged that car.
I did. I just unplugged it.
That's I couldn't have an electric car because I would always forget to charge it, so I'd be spending more money in tow fees to get it home to a charger.
I will say I wish I would have gotten a hybrid instead, because it is nice having the electric, not having to get out and pump gas. But at the same time, sometimes it would be nice to just be able to throw gas in and go.
Yes.
I don't travel far, so it's not been a huge issue now. But like when we do go to Ohio, I didn't get to take my car because that's going to add hours onto the trip. So I didn't take it. But I am lucky enough that we do have gas cars. So, I mean, I could take one of those. But so I love my car, but I do wish it was a hybrid.
Well, live and learn, I guess. Now you got to wait another 10, 20 years to think that one through.
Nelson was already like, do you want to, when the rates go down, you want to trade it in for a truck? And I'm like, no, I can't afford the gas on a truck. And then he's like, no, the Ford Lightning electric truck. And I'm like, no, because that's going to die even faster. But the Raptor was supposed to get fixed up and be my farm truck. Now we're back to selling. He's so back and forth, but with selling stuff. But he did just buy a little truck. So that's supposed to be for me to drive, but it's in Ohio, so.
Well, I suggest you hurry
We
up and
should.
get here, honey. You got a lot of stuff in Ohio.
Right?
Not to mention
I know.
me.
This is the man who wouldn't let me get a wheelbarrow because he's like, I got one in Ohio.
She's like,
been here for 2 or 3 years now, and he's like, no, we got one.
see, this is why they have money for medical bills, because he says, no, I'm not buying you a new rider. We have one sitting in Ohio. So
Yeah,
it's cheaper to pay somebody gas money to get it out there, and it's still in Ohio.
This is the same man that has 10 of the same tools because I left this one here, so I just bought a new one. I left this one there, so I just bought a new one. I asked him for my own, so he's bought me some tools over the years too. And he's a neat person, except for when it comes to tools in the garage and stuff. And he just kind of leaves things like, now he doesn't like it if you leave his stuff somewhere, but he leaves I have a bag and it was set up all cute. Now it's like I find stuff here, find stuff there. So at Christmas, I'm like, hey, I really like this toolbox. And I said, and then I can have my own and put my stuff in it. And he said, well, would you lock it? And I was like, yeah. So I did not get the toolbox for Christmas.
She did get some nice stuff, though. He did a coat and stuff. I need to heat it. But we were like, I think below zero or something with the wind chill factors and stuff. I was frozen. I could have used your coat, and you were up there hogging it. I mean, that's just rude.
And I finally got my heated coat. Only did this because he wasn't sure which would be better. I did get spoiled this Christmas. I'm not complaining about not getting the toolbox. It was just funny for his reasoning.
Oh,
I even got a bracelet. The funny thing is, he said, I went to the jeweler and I said, well, I've already gotten her a necklace. She's already got, rings from me. I've already bought her diamond earrings. So I just need a diamond bracelet. And I was like, honey, I don't own diamond earrings. He's like, you don't? And I'm like, nope. Must have been your other girlfriend.
That's what she's going to be getting. She'll get some diamond earrings.
I know he's probably thinking like, sweet, that opens it back up. But it's funny because I told him when my dad's mom, my grandma, passed away, she left me a pair of diamond earrings. And I was young and dumb and thought the way to honor that was to wear them all the time. And I ended up losing one. And I told him that story. And so in his mind, he just remembered diamond earrings and was like, I must have bought them for it.
All right. Well, we're running out of time for today. I hope you enjoyed our little homecoming to insurance and stuff, I guess you could call it, because it's ridiculous. Just remember, if that stuff comes up on the voting ballots and stuff, think it through. Make it so that you can be medically treated.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know how they say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to get things taken care of as well.
Takes a village to lower your insurance.
Right. I mean, like I said, it's crazy, and the fact that they think they could tell you what you can and can't do is beyond me.
Everyone had the theory that when Obama did the Obamacare thing, that his theory was for insurance companies, hurry up, go make all the money you can because we're about to hit you guys hard and get you under control. But that part hasn't happened yet. Only the running wild part happened.
Yeah, well, then of course they had to do away with the thing that if you don't have insurance, you're getting fined. That had to. Well, would that last 2-3 years? If that.
Yeah, I'm glad they did away with that because obviously, if people could afford the insurance, they would gladly have it. Nobody skips out on insurance just because they don't want it. If you don't have insurance because you can't afford it. Nelson and I have been trying to find affordable insurance for years, and we can't. It's your whole paycheck.
Yep.
Nelson's mom was told, you can't afford to work because insurance costs so much that she would actually have a better livelihood if she quit her job as a nurse and retired early and got the Medicare, Medicaid, because they're like, you can't afford to keep working with the price of your insurance.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Yes, it is. Next week, I think we might battle some school topics, things in the schools that are appropriate, inappropriate, what we should be allowing and not. So that should be an interesting topic, and it is important because our children are in school, and we got to think about what's going on with them. And do I personally have children in school? No, but I do have grandchildren in school, and eventually.
So if there's anything you guys want us to touch on and bring up, make sure you tell Bonnie on her page or in private messages.
Yes, because this is gonna kind of tie in with our conversation last week about the bullying and stuff like that. So maybe, just maybe, parents can start getting an inkling on why these things are going wrong with these kids and stuff, and be able to figure it out. So on that note, you guys have a good week. And Angelina, do you have anything to say?
No, ma'am. I will start my basketball journey.
She's going to go play basketball. Well, she's not playing, but
That would be a sad sight to see.
She's so silly. All right, we will see you all next week at 10 o'clock.